So I am here in Tirana in Albania. Now, I've said a lot in the past, if you're traveling and you want to meet more people, you want to interact, and have more of a fun time, I think it's always a good idea to be in a hostel. That's not for everyone. Obviously, if you're looking to just have a bit more fun, you're looking more on the kind of touristy side, and you're just having a bit of a holiday, then obviously hotels, Airbnbs are probably the best idea. But hostels, I think, are a great option for if you're on a budget, if you want to meet up with more people, have a bit more of a laugh. And I think people look down on hostels quite a lot, but here in Tirana in Albania, this is my private room here in the capital in Albania with ensuite. This is not a bad sized room at all. This is only slightly smaller, in fact in different ways the same kind of size as my own room at home, and this is a lot less than you're going to be paying for a hotel or anything like that, and it still does mean that I get to go out into the kind of public areas of the hostel, interact with more people. So I think when you're looking at hostels, don't always think that it's kind of bunk beds and everything that all going into one, because there's a lot more to offer from a lot more places. And I think you can kind of see from here, from everything with the aircon, Wi-Fi, everything else, that sometimes a hostel is actually a little bit more bougie than you might expect, especially here at the Vanilla Sky Boutique Hostel in Tirana. Skanderberg Square. Now, Skanderbeg is a national hero to the Albanians from around 1408 to 1465, I believe. And the main thing is he's a national hero because he was one of those that helped resist against the Ottoman Empire. And that is why, looking behind me, you can see there is the Skanderbeg statue as well, which commemorates him, and why the square is named that. Now, we also, in this massive square, have a lot of other things going on. So you can see there the huge Albanian flag, which is the most interesting, I think, in Europe, because most of our flags over here are quite similar. That one is not. And then we have the opera and ballet theatre going on as well. And as you can see, this is a bustling square. There are things going on in every direction. There is artwork all over. And this is an amazing city. If you're coming over here, if you're somebody that doesn't like crowds, doesn't like the hustle bustle, Albania, specifically Tirana, may not be for you. It is a very busy city and there is a lot going on, but it is a beautiful place. And even the big one, if you are into your nature as well, from Skanderbeg Square you can also see the mountains that surround Tirana. Now, obviously, if you're more into your mountains, there are trips you can take that go further out. You can also do day trips here over to Greece, over to Montenegro, even to North Macedonia. They are kind of day trips here. So it's a central hub as well, but it is a beautiful city. So much going on, but I would absolutely recommend, if you're coming to Tirana specifically, come to Skanderbeg Square. You can't avoid it. It has to be done. You've got the opera theatre here, you've got the statues, and you've just got a mass of history. Bar in Tirana called Cheers. It seems to be following me, that name, because I also was in a very similar bar over in Florida as well with the same logo. So I'm having a traditional kind of Albanian beer. I say traditional, more local Albanian beer, an IPA here, enjoying the night. But cheers. One very helpful thing you're going to find when you come to Albania, Tirana specifically more than other cities, but that is the internet connection. You have internet basically everywhere. Wi-Fi is supplied by Tirana itself. There's a Tirana free Wi-Fi, and then most stores, most cafes the museums, everything else also offers free Wi-Fi as well. So you can always stay connected, even though you may not have any data or anything like that. If you're coming from the UK or the EU, obviously your packages do not work over here in Albania and for any other countries coming here as well. But here you can walk around the city and stay completely connected all the time, which would be very helpful if you're looking for things to do, places to eat, places to shop, anything like that. Obviously sometimes having the internet can be a little bit helpful, even if you're someone like me that just likes to wander and see where you go. Sometimes you may need to know exactly how to get back to your hostel. So yeah, knowing that is very helpful. Having that internet connection is so much better than in many other cities, many other countries. I'd say this is probably better than most, if not all, Western European countries and cities on internet connection. So I am just in Radio Bar in here in Tirana, which is absolutely brilliant. It's a lot bigger than a lot of the bars I've been into so far. It's a proper kind of cocktail bar as well. I'm here with Johnny. Now his YouTube is going to be down below. He's a musician, so his link to his channel is going to be down in the description as well, so do go along and check him out as well. But yeah, I'm just having a chill out here, having a Puerto Rico, which is rum, passion fruit and a load of good things. So if you're in Tirana, do check it out. Come into the Radio Bar. And my advice is the Puerto Rico, but this is just one of many bars out here that's absolutely amazing. The staff are great, and check it out. So here in Tirana, you'll see there are a lot of markets. There is a main market you'll see behind me that goes on for quite a while, and you'll find pretty much anything you are looking for if you've forgotten to bring something with you on your trip. The one thing to remember though, in Albania, English is not a widely spoken language, so you may find yourself at a little bit of disadvantage if you're trying to haggle over something because it's a market. But people are very friendly, and it's quite easy to figure out what you want and what you need. But English is not as widely spoken here as it is in many European countries, even Eastern European countries, so it is something to bear in mind when you're coming over here. But the markets are definitely something to check out. So I am back here at Skanderbeg Square in Tirana, where there is just so much more than even I mentioned first time round. For starters, just a few feet away from the Opera and Theatre House here in the capital, we also have the National History Museum. So this is literally in the square, just a little bit over from the Opera House, and in the background, as you can see again, the mountains which you can take day tours out to. There are tours going into the mountains continuously in different parts of Albania. There are ones nearby as well. Probably something that you might want to think about if you are a fan of the mountains. It's not something I'll be doing whilst I'm here, but there are so many of them, and so many people that I've met have done these kind of trips into the mountains and further afield as well, because especially if you're going deeper into Albania, because we're pretty much out to the coast here to a point, then you'll really see these amazing mountains and scenery, very similar in my mind at least to that of Podgorica in Montenegro. So if you ever get lost when you're in Tirana, if you ever just want to make sure that you've seen some of the best stuff that you can, come to Skanderbeg Square and you're going to find it. The statues are here, the Opera and Theatre House is here, the National History Museum is here. Everything that you want can start from here. Something to know about Tirana as well, and Albania in general, is its interaction with nature. I am in a park, to say, with a kids play area, plenty of trees, there's a cafe in front of me as well, or restaurant, and it's in the middle of a bustling city, the capital of Albania. So their interaction with nature is immense, and you can see with the mountains in the background, but also there's plenty of trees on every street corner. They haven't knocked down these things, they've kept one with the things around them, And it's a great place to come if you're someone that's stuck in the city. As many people that are in cities across the world, New York, London, Washington, anywhere that you can think of, nature sometimes go by the wayside. So when you have this ability to come here and chill out as if you're not stuck by cement monstrosities all the time, it really does help. As you can see, this is the park, literally in the middle of the city with play areas and everything. You can see the bigger buildings beyond, but this, with the fountains and everything, this gives you a sense of being more with nature and being away from the hustle and bustle of normal city life. One of the things that you may want to do whilst you're here is go to the House of Leaves. That is also former surveillance museum as well. Now, ironically, when you're inside there, it's forbidden to take any video or any pictures. Now, you might get somebody that allows it. You might get somebody that says, oh well, you know, if it's going to bring more tourists in, that's fine, but it's generally not allowed in there, which is somewhat ironic from a museum of surveillance, but something to be aware of. Now, it isn't very expensive. It's about 700 lek, which is what, £6, something like that. So it's still potentially quite worth it to go in there and see some of the history of when this was a communist nation. So I would still advise doing it. A lot of it is still in Albanian, so you might want to just check with one of the people in the museum of what it says, but it's still interesting, still worth a trip, like much of Albania. There's something that's overlooked a lot when you're in Albania, especially Tirana, and that is the artistic nature of the city. There are art installations, buildings, architecture all over the city that are very much in keeping with this artistic flair that exists here in Albania. This is a peace monument not far from Skanderbeg Square, and this is just one of many that you can see throughout the city, as well as mentioned before, the in keeping with nature that is throughout this amazing city. Standing at the top of much of this artwork you'll find throughout the city is the Pyramid of Tirana. This has been here now for about 40 years, and from the very top, because you can walk up the sides, you can see the very top, you have one of the best views of the city you can possibly find here. One thing to taste whilst you're out in Albania is birek. Now, birek is known as borek or burek, depending on where you're going. It is all basically the same food, although they have differences of what is inside it. It's in effect a very thin pastry that's stuffed with a variety of different things. Now, it's birek here in Albania and a few other countries. It's burek in most of the former Yugoslavia, and the borek in Turkey. It also has some other names that I cannot pronounce in various places in the Middle East and further afield. However, this is definitely something to enjoy while you're here. It is one of my favourite street foods, and for this, which is not a small thing, for this it costs the equivalent of around 30 or 40 pence. You can get two for about 50 pence. Absolutely worth it. I once bought some of these thinking they were much smaller over in Montenegro, and ended up with food for the rest of the week just because of how cheap and delicious they are. Definitely something to try out here. You are going to enjoy this, trust me. You can get everything from beans to spinach to cheese to different meats. Anything that you're looking for, they stuff into one of these, so do enjoy it when you're here.